one thing I wanted to make sure, because I'm basically the guy that give the last word as far as like what kind of money we can deploy on which property. I wanted to make sure in terms of buying it subject to from you, because from my understanding, that's what you guys are talking about, right? Potentially.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So I wanted to make sure that's the mechanics are explained well, because when we buy property subject to, is almost like it's not like buying it cash, right? If I'm buying the property cash, I'm coming in, I shake your hand, you give me the key, you get the money, done, right? But so, creative
Yeah.
finance subject to is like getting into a marriage, right? And as you know, if you get into a marriage with lack of clear communication and upfront, contracts and stuff, you might end up getting a nasty divorce, right? Because obviously we're gonna
Right.
keep making payments on your behalf. I don't know if you understood it that way. So I wanted to make sure you fully understand the mechanics first, as far as like how we take over the loan, and then take over. And then talk about the cash that goes to you based on the purchase price, which I think you were asking what 500K.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, fantastic. So tell me so far, fill me in. How do you understand how we take over the loan? Do you understand the mechanics of that? How do we do that?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like title and deed change hands. You guys assume the debt, um, and then there's an initial lump
It's
sum of
talking about
cash,
assumption. We don't
and
assume
then
that.
the payments. You guys continue to make payments,
Mm-hmm.
and I would need some time after that lump sum to continue living in the house. Um, our credit's not great. My wife and I just fell on some hard times,
Okay.
um, and just need to kind of clear out some debt that we have, and
Okay.
then that'll put us in a position where we can go and buy another house.
Fantastic. Fantastic. What's your timeline to buy a new house that you're giving yourself?
Um, in talking to my mortgage guy,
Mm-hmm.
we're credits, like I said, probably we can rebound enough to get into one of his programs within like 45 to 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we would need to then go find a house, get under contract,
Right.
and close.
Got you. Got you.
So time frame is probably 6 months. I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff on the market right
Of
now that would make sense for us.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of getting that pre-qualification letter, getting approved, and then actually pulling the trigger.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That's great to know. So let me ask you, the current mortgage you have in place, what kind of loan is it? Is it a VA, FHA, conventional? What is it?
Yes, it's FHA.
FHA. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
And do you plan on buying your new property using an FHA loan as well?
Um, More than likely, yes.
Okay, got it. And the reason I'm asking that is because obviously, if you're gonna use FHA, you and your wife are both on this loan, or just you?
Just me on this one.
Got it. Okay. So when you buy the new one, and I'm sorry, the reason I'm asking for it is because we structure it differently depending when you're buying the property and a new property and getting the same kind of loan. So that's the reason I'm asking, just so you know, I'm not trying to get intrusive.
No, you're fine.
I got it. So with the new property as well, are you gonna be the one qualifying for the loan, or your wife?
It'll be both of us.
Both. Fantastic. Okay. Then that's not a problem, since it's 6 months ahead. Even if you leave this loan in place. So the only thing I want to clarify is, and I'm not sure if Steve had the chance to explain this, is you said assumption. So we're not assuming the loan. Just so you know, we're taking
Okay.
responsibility of making the payments on your behalf. So we're fully responsible to make the monthly payments, whatever those monthly payments are. Okay. We use a servicing company that we pay to make the payments on all the properties that we own. So you don't have to chase anybody to make sure that we made the payments on time. And you typically get an email alert or a text message alert saying, hey, the mortgage is paid, all is good to go every single month, right? The loan stays on your name. We're just making the payments. The loan doesn't move at all. We don't cash it out, because the loan assumption is essentially me coming in and stepping in your shoes and qualifying for that loan, myself, and then it transfers to my credit and my name. That's what a loan assumption is.
Right.
Subject to is it stays on your name. We don't touch the loan. It completely stays the way it is. If you're behind on anything, we pay it off at close of escrow, and then we just take over the responsibility of paying the mortgage moving forward. We're fully responsible for that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So is that something you're open to? Because it's not an assumption, it's a subject to. Is that still something you're open to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Also, I do want to, consider, depending on where the offer lies, is a cash offer as well.
Okay.
Just want to keep my options open, make sure we're making the right decision.
As you should, by the way. This option is typically, when we buy this way, is typically always the option B. So your option A is always, if obviously, as you know, which I think I heard you say yesterday, you don't want to list it, but you can always list it. You will always get the highest number. Reason being is because the people that buy it on the market, they're looking to live in, they're not looking for any profits, right?
Yep.
For us, we're investors, obviously. We're not looking to live in, so we have to be able to make some money out of it. Now, if we're talking about this number, by the way, just so you know, I haven't gotten the chance to look at the property. But when we buy this way, typically is because we're over the mark where we can buy cash, and we're able to buy it at a higher number if we buy it creatively, because we're not going to flip it. We're looking to hold it for the next 15, 20 years, whatever, just for, buy and hold purposes, if that kind of makes sense, right?
Sure.
Now, so just keep this as a plan B in your back pockets, but I want to fully explain so that even if you come back to us and you say, guys, I'm not going to move forward with this option, at least you're saying that already fully informed on how it works. Okay, so with that being said, just so you know, for you to go ahead and qualify for your new loan, you can qualify for a new loan without any issues, even if you keep the loan on your name and we're making the payments, because of the way we structure it. Number one, so when you go qualify for your new loan, all they want to see is that you're no longer responsible for making the mortgage payments on this loan. You have to prove that to them, right? We own dozens of properties like this. The last one, I had a guy named John. He went ahead and bought a new property with his VA. So I took over his VA loan, and he wanted to go ahead and buy a new property in Georgia. He moved from Maryland basically to Georgia. So we provide, so the servicing company we use, they provide all the documentation you need for your new lender basically. That shows that not only the payments is being made on time, but also that shows you're no longer responsible, because we're the one that is responsible now for making the payments, and they have to take that loan off your debt to income ratio at that point. Does that make sense? But they require documentation, and that's where the servicing company, that's why we use them, because they're professionally, obviously, as you know, even right now, when you're paying the mortgage, you're not paying them, you're paying the servicing company, right? So that's the reason why. So at that point, just so you know, you can qualify for any loan. That's never been an issue. We have FHA loans on our rental portfolio that we took over subject to. We have conventional, we have VA. So it's just structured, typically I structure it differently depending the timeline. So right now, let's say you tell me you're gonna buy in 6 months, right? That's a very, if you're very confident in that, that's a very short timeline, right? So the way I like to structure it to even make it easier on you, so maybe you go ahead and get the best chance to get the best interest rate possible, because I'm not sure if you're aware of what's going on with the interest rates right now on the market.
Oh yeah.
Okay, got it. Well, your current interest rate, what is it on your current loan? Do you know?
3.5.
Okay, so as you know, you're most likely not getting that if you're buying in 6 months.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fully prepared to be, 6 something.
Yeah. So unless the elections, which is not gonna happen. Hopefully after these elections, they're gonna drop it before people lose their minds. This is getting out of hand, bro. And out of hand.
I know.
But okay, so that's fantastic. So that means, so the way I like to structure it, because you're gonna buy soon. If you were buying in 1 or 2 years, typically, no problem. We transfer title and we just provide the documentation. And the reason being because at that point, like when John bought, I've already owned his property for at least a year. So I was able to give his new loan officer like a whole year of payments that are already made. Not only that, but all the documentation in terms of like the closing. And then we put also a master lease in place as well on top of that, okay? Because the loan officers want to see that, right? In order to qualify you. Now here, because you're buying in 6 months potentially, I would like to structure it differently, right? It's still a subject to, but I'm going to structure it as sorry, I'm blanking on a land contract is called. What does that mean is I'm still buying it subject to, but we're not going to transfer title right now. So I'm still fully responsible for the payments. Okay, I still kind of like have full control of the property. I still deal with all the headaches. If we have a tenant in, there is code violations, or somebody die, or whatever happens to the property, you're no longer responsible for that. We are responsible because we own it, right? But what this does for you is, because title didn't transfer, when you go ahead and want to buy in 6 months, you can show them that, hey, this property here now is just an income producing property for me.
Okay.
So my basically tenant, because we're gonna have a master lease in place, my tenants are basically paying this rent, right? So we're gonna put whatever so I don't know, your mortgage right now on a monthly basis is what? Your monthly payment? Sorry,
it's
maybe
around 26.
2,600, right? So let's say hypothetically we're gonna show on the lease that we're paying you like 2,800, for example. Okay, on the master lease. We're gonna show 2 payments up front, okay? And then 1 month rent on that master lease. And then on top of that, we're gonna structure the land contract. Obviously we're gonna have a closing. So the land contract is a full real estate closing, okay? The only difference here is this is gonna give you a higher chance to get the best rate possible, because now not only you're showing that you're no longer responsible for that mortgage, but you're also making income out of the property.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so when homeowners are buying soon, that's how I like to structure it, to help them get the best rates possible for their next property if they're buying within less than a year. If they're not buying within less than a year, then I do transfer title. And the reason for that is because, again, it's a little bit of a liability for us, because you cannot steal. Like recently, right? I had I'm not saying it's going to happen with you, but I had a seller. We bought their property and we gave them, obviously we come in with skin in the game because we give you cash up front, right? We're taking care of the property. We have tenants in. This is a business for us, obviously, also, even though we love helping homeowners that are facing foreclosure, right? But she ran into a problem, a financial issue afterwards, when she had already spent all the, I think it was like $28,000 I gave her, right? Based on her situation, what was going on. So she wanted to come back to me to get more money. I'm like, well, that's not how it works, because we already closed. We agreed to $28,000. And, now you want to get more, like, it's not how it works, right? And she was like, oh, well, so I want my house back. And because I did a land agreement and we don't have the title yet, it was kind of an issue. We had to get attorneys involved and all this crap, right? So, so that's the reason why. If he's over a year, because I don't know what's gonna happen later. Like, life happens to people, right? That's not really. It is what it is. Right now, everybody's having a hard time. I like to transfer title so we fully own it. There is no issues, and also we agreed, hey, whatever cash we're giving you, and then we're taking over the mortgage. This is the structure. We're responsible for the mortgage. If we don't pay, also, by the way, we put a security blanket for you, okay? That if we ever miss payments for more than 31 days, you are able to get your house back without any foreclosure process. So you just fill in our shoes. You keep making the payments, or you sell the home, or you do whatever you want with the house, and you keep the money we gave you and all the payments we made along the way, okay? I'm going to explain that mechanic later. It's called the deed of escrow, okay? And the language just states, if we ever miss 31 days of payments, it stays with the attorney in escrow. You can just enforce it and get your house back, okay? So does it make sense, though, so far, how I'm going to structure it if you buy in 6 months?
Yep.
Okay. Anything over that, then I'll transfer title, because you won't have an issue anyway. Anything over 12 months, if I can show a track history of 12 months payments, that's actually fantastic for you for your new loan, right? Okay. And the reason we don't do like loan assumptions in terms of cashing you out, obviously, is because one, I'm going to maybe Wells Fargo or whatever, taking a loan just to cash out a new loan. The only people that make money in that sense is really the bank, right? You're not making any more money with that. And then right now, the interest rates, as you and I both know, if I take a 7% interest, this deal is dead for an investor, because you can't cash flow at all. And Florida right now is getting crazy with the insurance too. they're making all the investors flee out of Florida because of, with all the, I kind of understand a little bit with all the the what do you call it, the wind issues and all the floods and all this stuff is getting out of hand as well, right? Or
Oh,
that,
yeah.
yeah, the insurance companies are harassing people. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So with that being said, I don't know about the purchase price. Like, if you were to sell it cash, how much would you sell it for? What did you guys ever discuss that? I think it.
Under the,
I think I may have lost you here a little bit. Hello?
oh, shit. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. You're back.
Oh, yeah. I'm cutting across Alligator Alley. So,
Oh, no worries. You're out again.
ah, fuck.
No, no worries. Maybe when you pass this little area, it should be back.
Yeah. Can you hear me
Did
now?
you look at a cash offer on this thing? Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay, yeah, I just got back into service, I think.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, 500 puts me in a financial position where I can pay all my stuff and have enough money to go put a down payment on another house.
Okay. Okay, got it.
However it is that I can get there. I mean, realistically, I prefer to 500 cash close, and then I just lease the house back to you for
Of course,
6 months and go buy something.
Of course.
But if the money's not going to be there at that number, and we can do this other program and be, I can be in the right financial
Right.
spot,
No, it won't work.
then I'm all in.
I got you. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? It sounds like here for you, it's the most important thing is the cash to you up front, obviously, to be able to pay off your credit card debts and then also put some cash in the next property, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So based on your purchase price that you're asking, it seems like you have about, I think, 80 or 87,000 in equity, potentially.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Now, obviously, selling it to an investor is probably better than on the market because you would have to pay fees on this, right? But here's the thing. Do you know how much? What's your credit card fees like? Is it 30 grand? Is it more? Just to pay off that part?
Just the credit card alone is about 30 grand.
It's about 30 grand. Okay, so 30 grand plus. And how long you said you want to lease the property back for? Because it sounds like you want to stay a little bit after we close. You want us to lease it back to you, and give you some time until you find a new property or until you find a rental in the meantime. What is the ideal scenario?
And it would be until I found a new house.
I got you. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we might.
Let me ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this. The first thing we were talking about, where you make the payments and all that, well, I would still be living in the house throughout that time. Is that correct?
Throughout, you mean when we close until you buy a new property?
Yeah. Either way, I have to stay in the house.
Yeah. So it's called the lease back. Okay, it's called the lease back. So we've done it a couple of times. We're a little bit picky with the sellers we do it with because we, and the reason for that is because obviously if you're inside, we can skin the cat multiple different ways. I've done it multiple different ways. If you stay inside, it depends. Are you saying you're gonna stay inside and not make any payments for 6 months and we're paying the mortgage, or are you gonna make payments on a monthly basis? Like what is your ideal scenario here?
Well, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the program without switching title.
Yes.
I would be living in the house throughout the time after closing? Is that correct?
Yeah. So whether we transfer title or not, that's completely irrelevant to you staying in the house. You staying in the house is just us and you agreeing that we're giving you a lease back, even though we're buying the property. That we are okay letting you stay in the house and giving you what is called a lease back. That's what it's called. So we're gonna sign a complete different agreement saying, hey, Jacob is staying in the house for X amount of time, and this is the terms that we agreed upon his stay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with transferring title or not. Transferring title or not transferring title has to do with your timeline of you buying your new property and how I like to structure it to help you guys get the best rates possible on your new loan. That's it. So if you tell me, hey, Mamadou, I'm not even sure, maybe it's going to be over a year. By the way, it's fine because remember, right? Because there is no lenders involved between us, there is no banks, there's no none of that stuff. Whatever we agree and we sign on paper goes. If you go, Mamadou, if I sell you guys this property this way, every time you come to Florida, you gotta like freaking buy me sushi or whatever. I have to do it if I sign on that paper. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or you have to come and help me on my car engines, right? So so we're just gonna have a lease back. It's called the lease back. We're gonna sign a document called the lease back with the terms of your stay in the house in the back end, which we're more than absolutely open to. I just want to understand your ideal scenario if you stay in, because obviously when we take over the property, we have monthly payments, right? And the goal for us is as soon as possible to put, some kind of tenant in. Like, we don't necessarily do traditional rentals anymore. We look like other kind of avenues where we rent to professionals. But to not bleed money, because that defeat the whole purpose of an investment, right? We want somebody to be in, pay not only the mortgage, but maybe pay us like $200-300 more, so we're able to afford some milk for my daughter, right? and keep the lights on, if that kind of makes sense, right? So just tell me, because it's a temporary thing, and I've done it before, which is not a problem at all. The lease back, what's your ideal scenario? Is it to stay in for 6 months without any expenses, meaning on your end you're not paying anything, but we are covering the mortgage? Or are you at least covering the mortgage for that 6 months? What is your ideal scenario?
I mean, ideally, I wouldn't pay anything.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
But I think I would put the ball back into your court on that.
Okay.
We would, come to a fair agreement.
Okay.
I'm not. Obviously, I'd like as much as possible.
Of course.
My way, but you guys obviously, have to be profitable and make this work for you just as much as it has to work for me.
Yeah, so typically, like I said, this is like a marriage when we buy it this way, so I want to make sure we all on the table with a smile on the face, right? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, right? So we got to get out of this with a win-win situation, right, which I've always been able to accomplish, right? So here's the scenario that typically I like to do in this kind of, and I have a good vibe. You seem like a trustworthy person. And I'll be really honest with you. When we keep a seller in the house, we're always breaking the 12 commandments of real estate, right? Which is one of them, never lease back to the seller. And here's why. Because what happens typically with most homeowners is 2 months in, they wake up, which is natural, by the way. They go, why the heck am I making any payments in this property? This used to be my home. I'm no longer paying. So it's the emotional, you understand what I'm saying? So we avoid that. But here's what I think I can structure it, and let me know if this potentially could work for you, but you can always talk to your wife and let me know, okay? You don't have to decide today.
Yeah.
What I would like to do is, once we agree the cash up front to you, is instead of, we're not even gonna, if you're doing for 6 months, we probably only looking to cover the expenses, right? Until you vacate, if that kind of makes sense. But we don't want to like come out of pocket every month to pay the mortgage, right? So let's say we agree to whatever amount, which we're gonna discuss in a minute. From that amount, okay, instead of you coming out of pocket, then what we can do is I can try to see how I can give you the most money possible, but instead of giving you everything, I would retain the 6 months of just the mortgage. Is there HOA on this property?
Say again?
Is there HOA, a homeowners association on the property?
No, there is not.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so there's nobody that has any weird regulations here for investors.
No.
Okay, got it. So what I've done in the past for the sellers to not come out of pocket is just, hey, because I'm coming up with the cash to you anyway, right? So let's say we agree whatever amount, I would retain so I would retain some money in escrow, and then from there, every single month we'll just take that money and make the mortgage payments. because that's a true expense, right? That has to be paid, right? So, or it depends. It depends what amount you're asking me. If it's a reasonable amount to where I can, okay, you know what, I can still give you this amount, and I can still cover the mortgage and not really be upside down in terms of like, okay, now I'm really bleeding money here. I'm losing money necessarily based on the money typically. So I'll be really transparent with you, right? Which I'm a very straightforward guy. It's always a yeah or nay, right? Typically when we buy homes this way, because technically we're kind of over, I can already tell you, I know 100% for sure we cannot buy this property cash 500,000. It's like, I don't see how an investor would make that number work, right? Now, that means technically we're overpaying for the property, but we're okay doing that because we're buying it creatively because you're willing to leave the mortgage in place, so no problem. I'm not even going to argue with you on the purchase price, right? I might even give you 510,000 on the purchase, no problem. I don't care about it at that point because all I care about is my ability to cash flow. Does that make sense so far?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So with that being said, we don't like to come up with, based on the purchase price, we never like to spend more than 10% of the purchase price up front.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, obviously, we don't only buy one property per month. That's number one. And I honestly did try to have Bill Gates adopt me, but he said no. So we have so we have limited amount of cash to deploy. And for you, Jacob, you're in a really good place, but we have some sellers that we deal with that are going through like, they're behind so much. Like I'm dealing with one right now. They're behind like $55,000. Is an older lady, the husband passed away, and then her son died. It's just too much. So because we deal with a lot of homeowners that we love to help on a monthly basis, we like to deploy the capital and spread it to help as many people as we can as well. On top of obviously buying properties for ourselves too, right? So I'm not Bill Gates. I cannot spend endless amount of cash on every property, okay? So typically not more than 10%, and that's if I can cash flow on the property, which I still have to look at what kind of strategy we can do. And then what we do is, so let's say hypothetically that 10%, Jacob, is 50,000, okay? And please don't hesitate to stop me anytime I'm getting too long-winded or whatever, okay? But I want to make sure I very, very, detail-oriented, sorry. So 50,000, let's say hypothetically, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my financial partners. Obviously, that's what we have. So we get this money from like the private lenders, right? And I'm going to say, hey, 50,000 on this property, we can potentially cash flow, let's say $400. I'm just making up a number. And then I'm going to go, okay, based on the 50,000 we're bringing to the table, the property don't need renovation. I think Steve told me this is a turnkey property, correct?
Yep.
Okay, but typically we do have to come in and clean it and furnish it at least for the professionals, okay? So we do have expenses on top of the money we're giving you and paying the closing costs. So I'm going to compare that against my yearly cash flow and then see what is the return on the money. So the cash flow based on the money that we spend up front. That's the most important number for us on our end when we buy this way. Now, let's say hypothetically I owe you $87,000, okay? And I come to you and I say, Jacob, on your $87,000, I'm sorry, I cannot give you more than $50,000 for now. Well, guess what? I will still owe you $37,000 regardless, correct?
Right.
Let's say hypothetically you say yes in the best world, okay? So that $37,000, just so you know, is not lost. So I still owe you that. At that point, we will do what is called a hybrid. Okay? A hybrid is I'm buying it subject to, which what we spoke about earlier. Okay?
Yep.
And then we're creating a second lien position for your $37,000, and Jacob is the bank on that because that's your money. Okay? And it's protected against the property at close of escrow. And we can do it two ways. If the cash flow every month allow me to send you a monthly check on that $37,000, that's what we will do. If it doesn't, we structure it in a way where we're not sending you monthly payments, but we still owe you the money. It's secure against the property. What that means is we cannot sell it, we cannot refinance it, without you getting a call from whoever attorney or title company we use saying, hey, Jacob, these people that owe you $37,000, they're looking to sell the property or refinance, and we need a payoff from you to send you a check.
Gotcha.
The same way right now, you could not sell this property without paying off your FHA if you were to sell it cash, right? Because whether you let the bank know or not, they have a lien recorded against your property, so the whole world knows and the attorney will know, right?
Right.
Okay, it's gonna be the same thing for you with your $37,000, okay?
Yep.
So now, because it's a small amount in this example scenario, remember, this is just a hypothetical, okay? This is not an offer, okay?
Right. Yep.
So I can pay it off depending on what kind of cash flow I'm making. I can pay it off within 6 months, 1 year, or 1 year and a half, depending on what I can cash flow in the back end. Because what I'll do is every money we bring in, I'll put it on the side just to pay Jacob out the fastest way possible, because once I pay you out, then I'll start making money. So I want to pay you out the fastest way possible.
Right.
Another scenario is I might get a private lender afterwards that come and says, hey, I can cash out Jacob right now. I write you a check of $37,000, Mamadou, because the property is performing. No problem. And here is $37,000, cash out Jacob, right? So we can always, because we can pay you out the 37 whenever we want. Let's say we decide we're gonna pay it to you within a year. I can pay it to you in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever, as long as I pay it to you within a year that we agreed on paper.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So that's how we like to structure it. So if I can be very upfront with you, if the property is turnkey, I don't have to renovate anything, meaning like high ticket items, roofs, all this stuff, like I can put a tenant in without a problem, is livable after you move out, obviously. Then the only expense I gotta take into consideration on top of the money I'm putting in your pockets is the furnishing. And then the closing costs. Because the cash in your pockets to you is net, right? There's no, even if you're behind on some, are you behind on anything on the mortgage, or you're up to date on the mortgage?
I didn't make August payment.
Okay, so just one payment. That's not a big deal. So I'll get caught up on that, pay the closing costs, and then all we have to talk about now is the cash to you. Okay? So if I do the math, let's do $500,000 times 10%. That's $50,000 basically. Okay? Now, $50,000, I like closing cost and that 1 month of payment to be included in, because I still have to come up with more money than that to pay to furnish the property. So that means by the time I'm done, I may be all in. What is the bed and bath count on this property? 3 beds?
Say again?
What is the bed and bath count? Is it a 3-bedroom?
Yeah, 3 bedroom, 3 bath.
Okay, so we spend roughly around $3,000 per room to furnish it. So I would say by the time I'm done, I may be all in, like, let's just say 60 to 65 max.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So that's the most important thing for me here, is not the purchase price. Is the cash I'm bringing to you, and then how much am I putting in your pockets? How long in the back end am I paying the mortgage? Are you paying the mortgage? You know what I mean? So here, to me, I wouldn't want you to come out of pocket based on what you guys are going through right now. If you stay in for 6 months, once we write up the agreement, but I'll definitely keep money in escrow and then take it from there. It's not coming out of your pocket anyway, because I'm bringing the money, right?
Right.
And whatever money, based on what I gave you, whatever money is left, I still owe it to you. We just got to talk about, you're the bank on that. I'm not going to dictate terms to you, obviously, because the same way you don't walk into Wells Fargo and dictate terms to them, right? You're going to have to tell me that, Mamadou, okay, if you bring 50 to the table, and let's say after the mortgage, let me see, 30, let me just do some quick math here. And Jacob, everything is making sense so far, or am I talking too much?
No, you're good.
Okay,
numbers make sense to me, so I'm good.
Fantastic. Okay, so 2,600 times 12, times 6. 2,600 times 6, that's 6 months. That will be $15,000, 600 I have to keep in escrow to make the mortgage payments every month.
Yep.
Okay? Now, one thing I'm probably not going to cover for you guys is utilities and everything if you guys are there for the next 6 months. That you guys will have to cover that.
Yeah,
Right?
not a problem at all.
Okay. So 15,600 would stay in escrow in this hypothetical scenario, minus, let's say, $50,000. So that means I am putting in your pockets, let's just say $36,000 net.
Yep.
Okay? So, and I still owe you $37,000 in the back end. And then Jacob's
Yep.
bank just need to let me know, hey, I want to structure that term this way. I want it within the next 12 months, or I want it when I'm ready to buy a home in 6 months. And then it's up to us to figure out if the numbers work for us to be able to cash you out on that $37,000 within the next 6 months without any issues based on what we can do with the property.
Okay.
Yeah. So talk to me so far in this hypothetical scenario. What do you think, or what questions do you have, or what do I need to clarify, or what don't you like about it?
No, there's nothing that at this point I don't like.
Okay.
My one question was going to be, am I responsible for utilities and all the stuff, which I figured I was. Just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
As far as the additional 37, well, is that something I could say? I'm good waiting 12 months, but at the 6 month point, I got to have half of that so I can then buy another house.
100%. 100%. And all I'm gonna look at is, okay, based on my exit strategy and what I can rent the property for and what I can cash flow for, I can give Jacob not only my word but also on paper and keep my promise and not be a liar in 6 months. Because at the end of the day is all about how much am I making on the property in the back end, right? Which like I said, we're not gonna do transitional rental because it's too low here compared to your mortgage. So we're probably looking to do something else like midterm rented to travelers, those kind of things. But the issue is within the 6 months you are there, so we can't really rent it. So here's what I'm gonna look at.
Right.
I am going to look at, okay, based on the financial partners that I have, my private lenders, typically is like personal relationships that we have, nurses, attorneys, all of that. I'm gonna look at, okay, which one of them I can bring this deal to, which you being there, but with the potential projections after you vacate, which one of them can I convince to give me the $37,000 as a private loan and come in the deal with us when you're ready to get that money, and can I sell them the deal? Which I think is possible here, but I still have to go back with Steven and look at that. Does that make sense? But I think based on the amount is highly possible, and I'm actually gonna make it better for you. Let's just round it up. Let's say 40 instead of 37. Let's add $3,000 there. Okay, so just round it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna look at that's really it. At that point is us cashing you out based on the private lender that we bring in, just because you're still in the property. So technically we're just covering the mortgage. We're not cash flowing, but I am able to go to them and say, hey, once Jacob vacate, this is how much we're gonna make on the property. The return is there. The property is solid. The location is solid. If you bring your 37, you're not gonna regret it. And typically, we have a lot of them, so I've never had an issue raising money to make that happen.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, all these things right now here. Outside of that, I mean, I'm assuming you're gonna have to talk to your wife, obviously. But what do you think she won't like about all this? I don't want to know what she likes. What do you think she wouldn't like?
I think the only thing that would concern her is not getting all the money up front.
Meaning the whole 87?
Correct. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Why is that? Why do you think is that?
I just know her, and she gets a little overly concerned with a lot of things, and
of course,
just to protect herself, to protect all of us. I mean, if it were just me, I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. I wouldn't even think about it. But I have her, and I have a family to
To take
also
care
think
of.
about.
Of course.
I can convince her. I'm
Okay.
not I'm not concerned about um, I'm not concerned about it at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm feeling good about it. I know, you know, I know what she wants to accomplish, and this is a way that we can
Okay.
accomplish that.
Okay. Well,
Um,
and
yeah,
and that's completely understandable. By the way, it's the same way when you walk into the bank. Like they really don't just trust you. That's the reason why all this paperwork. Even though when you're talking to somebody, especially when you're buying this way, you want to make sure also you're doing a deal with a person that you kind of like. You know what I mean? As a person, you can feel their vibe. They're fully transparent. They seem to be credible. Whatever, like those kind of things is typically human. It's not on paper, right? And that's the reason why I want to.
right,
I like to fully disclose everything because it's not a lot of people that do creative finance. Number one, number two, most people are afraid to disclose things because they're afraid to lose the deal. I'm not, because at the end of the day, if we
right.
gotta get into a marriage, if we're not both happy, then we might as well not get married, right?
Yep,
So
yep,
with that being said, the only good news is you can let her know is number one, your money is secured against the property. That's one, right?
right,
Two is a very short period of time. You guys are getting that in a
right,
6 month span, right? And then third,
yep,
you guys really don't have any expenses because you are staying in the home and we are paying for you the mortgage. You understand
right.
what I'm saying? So like it's not
Yeah,
and for us also, it's not like we're coming in with no skin in the game. We're coming with cash, giving you cash, paying the mortgage, all of that is skin in the game. So we have vested interests for this property to not be destroyed, for anything to not go wrong, because we have to do right not only by you, but we also have to do right by our equity partners. And so if we invest money, we have vested interest to make this thing a win-win situation, right? And then everything is
right,
recorded against the
absolutely.
property, so it's not like we can't sell it, refinance it underneath you, or do whatever without you getting a call for you to get paid. So it's not like I'm asking you,
Right,
hey, just trust me. No, everything is on paper. Everything goes through the attorney. Everything is recorded against the property. The whole world knows that we owe you $37,000 for X amount of time with X terms. You understand what I'm saying?
right.
So that's the only reassurance you
Yep,
can give her, and you can just let her know, Mamadou did try for Bill Gates to adopt him, and he couldn't. So that's the reason why they can't come up
yeah,
with the $87,000 up front. You have to. We don't want.
yeah,
I'll be very transparent with you. Talk to you can try this. I'm sure maybe other investors are calling you and making all these offers, whatever. Just try and see. There's not, number one, most of them won't be as creative as I am. That's one. Secondly, most of them will not give you
yeah, no,
close to that $50,000. I promise. So but
right,
it's here. There is no rush. You guys think about it, because I still have to go back to my underwriter and look at, hey, tell me what can we do with this property that is not a traditional rental, and what is the potential cash flow on a monthly basis. Then I can really come back to you and say, hey, this is no longer a hypothetical scenario. This is really what I can give you. I can truly give you the 57. I can truly pay the mortgage, no problem. I can give you the 6 months, no problem. And I can truly pay you off within 6 months the remaining amount. Okay?
okay,
But one thing I can already guarantee you, the cash offer, we're not going to be able to buy this property at $500,000 cash. At that point, you're better off just listing it on the MLS and sell it to a homestead buyer. you know and if you ever
gotcha,
decide
yep.
that route, the only thing we can do and help with is say, hey, you know what, have you ever sold the property before, Jacob?
No, not myself.
Okay, fantastic. So typically when you list a home and a homestead buyer is buying it from you, obviously the lender that is lending them the property, they bring in an inspector and an appraiser, right? Okay. So
Yep,
typically when the inspector comes in and the appraisal, so the inspector always wants you to do something. Fix this, fix that,
yeah,
do this, do that, okay? The only thing we can help at
oh
that
yeah,
point is to go, okay, Jacob, we're not a good fit on a cash offer, and maybe your wife didn't like the subject to option, no problem. We can help you do the listing, and then if the inspector comes and asks for anything, we're gonna pay for that. We're gonna handle it, repair it, pay for it, and at that point, we just want a very small return. Let's say we spend like 10, 15, whatever, I don't know. right? 5. Well, it doesn't really matter. Well, depending on the amount, we want a very small. Like the last one I did, we made like what, 5K. The next one we're making like 10. Does that make sense? That's the only way we can help at that point. Or you can just hire a regular realtor, which they're not gonna do that, obviously. And they list it regularly, and then you deal with all the walkthroughs and all the what I mean. So
yeah, and that's what my wife 100% does not want to do. That's why we've taken the time to speak with multiple investors.
Of course. Trust me, I have a best friend who makes babies with a realtor. I have nothing against them, but I can't stand them neither.
Yep.
Trust me. So I'm with her on that. You can tell her I'm on her team with that. So maybe she might be like, okay, I might work with this guy, Mamadou.
Say that again?
No, I'm saying you can let her know we're on the same team when it comes to the whole listing thing.
Oh, are you kidding me? I hate dealing with realtors.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're on the same page on that one. So maybe that will make her want to be like, okay, maybe I want to work with this guy. Okay, but regardless, you don't even have to deal with them at that point. If you really want to go that route, we can still help you out that way. It's just at that point we'll just like deal with all the headaches with the inspection and everything. And if they ask for anything to be fixed or whatever, at that point we will be the ones who spend the money, fix it, deal with that. Okay. But we can talk about that scenario when it comes down to it. So you guys talk to her first.
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, I've been texting with her and getting thumbs ups throughout.
Okay.
I think I'd like to see, something that's not hypothetical.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let me ask you this, and I can come back to you with a non-hypothetical today. The only thing I'm not solid on is what we can do with it in the back end. I really don't know that yet. Typically, I like my underwriter to come to me with 2 or 3 different scenarios. And the reason for that is because for me personally, I always like to start with my worst case scenario and then end with my best case scenario. Because nothing is predictable. That's number one. Number two, the market is so unstable right now. And elections are right around the corner. So I like to project myself not just in a year, but I like to project myself in 3 to 5 years. If we're still good, we're still keeping our promises with everybody, and we're still not like having to file bankruptcy, then I can come back to you. And so I can come, I can come back to you later this afternoon if you want, since you're just driving anyway. And then we can talk about really hard black and white numbers.
Yeah, I have the all clear from her to get the black and white.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And what I'll do in the meantime, Gunnar sent me over the title companies you guys work with. I like to just cover my bases and make sure I speak to them. And,
of course.
Get their stamp of approval on you guys.
Okay.
I feel good about the conversation we've had. Seems to me everything's above board, but obviously I need to make sure that, this isn't going to happen, and then you go, oh, you signed your house over to me, and now it's mine.
Of course. Well, listen, definitely call the title company because they're a neutral party, right? They don't work for you, they don't work for us, they only care about their license, right? So they're legally bound to not lie to you. That's number one. Number two, we use different title companies depending on the strategy. So we don't use the same title companies when we're doing cash as to when we're doing creative. Because there is some title companies that don't know how to close creative finance deals, or their underwriter don't allow them to do so, just because they like to do like sample transactions, right? So I hope Gunnar gave you the one that we use for creative finance. But another thing also, by the way, if you ever want me to send you our HUDs, properties we own, you can look me up online. I'm very active. I have a huge YouTube channel. But you can look at my Instagram. You see me walking properties and talking to sellers all the time. So it's really easy to find us and see, if you go on YouTube, you type Mamadou Diallo real estate, you're going to see me real quick, right?
Gotcha.
And I can send you HUDs. HUDs is basically showing you that I own properties and all of that. You cannot fake a HUD because it's, basically structured with the that's what the attorney give you at closing, that, hey, here's a receipt that you just bought a property. Nobody can fake that. So if you're dealing with any investor, tell them, hey, send me your HUDs, whatever, okay? And then remember, we're also going to put earnest money. Once we sign the agreement, there is the earnest money. The earnest money is obviously us saying, here is whatever amount we agreed that we commit into this deal, and then we send it to escrow. So you always want to make sure with every real estate investor you're dealing with, they're able to afford to put that. Because if I say I can give you $50,000, but I cannot afford to send, 3,000 or typically is 1% of the purchase price basically to escrow, then obviously I might not have the 50,000 too, right? So I might be somebody who's trying to shop your property around and sell the contract, which we call them wholesalers. Nothing wrong with it. It's just most of them don't know their numbers because they learned real estate on YouTube. Okay.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you can do all the homework. Again, remember, this is a marriage, so typically it takes me about 3 to 4 calls to get an agreement going. Because for me personally, what I like you to do is, before I call you back this afternoon, maybe come up with like 200 concerns that you have. And then I would like to address them and make sure that you're 100%, you and your wife are fully comfortable moving forward before we even move forward. Because trust me, even for me, otherwise I'm not comfortable doing it as well. Because otherwise it ends up being headaches and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Now, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the event that we get the real numbers, makes all the sense, we put it on paper, today, tomorrow, whatever it is. What's timeline on something like this as far as getting to closing?
We've closed within 14 days. We've closed within 30 days. We've closed within 7 days. So typically what happens is if there is a rush, we do ask the attorney to do an expedited title search. And again, we can only close when title is clear. You don't control that. I don't control that. The title company controls that, the attorney, right? But we can request an expedited title search. So if they come back, if we do expedited, typically they take about 2 weeks. And if they come back and say, hey, everything is cool, the title is clear, no problem, there is no other liens that the seller didn't know about, you guys didn't know about, then boom, we can close.
I got you.
Yeah, so we can close as fast as the attorney can give us a green light to close.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, and I have all the information as far as liens and payoffs and all that stuff. So
fantastic.
I don't know that.
And remember when we open escrow, title company is going to reach out to you directly, and they will get whatever information they need from you. When it comes to payoffs and stuff, they love to get it directly from the lender, not the seller. Just so you know. Even if you send them yours, they will still request it. So, but they will have you fill out some forms that give them the authorization to reach out to the lender and request it on your behalf. Does that make sense? But we can do expedited title so we like to close fast. Trust me, the fastest the better. Okay. So we can do expedited title here and maybe not take over 14 to 15 days max. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So this afternoon soon as I'm ready, I'll have gonna text you, and then you let me know when I can give you the call. But I promise this afternoon we'll talk about hard numbers. And remember, think about all this and come up with some objections or very questions for me. Okay.
Got it.
All right. I appreciate you, Jacob, listening to me, and I hope I didn't babble too much.
No, you're good. It's been very informative. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. All right, Gunnar?
Yes, sir.
All right, my guy. I'm going to do the homework here, and then I'll text you when I'm ready, and then you text Jacob, and we get this thing going today, okay?
Perfect. Sounds good.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Drive safe, Jacob.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right. What do you think?
Bro, what you mean what I think, bro? Damn. Every single objection got hit. You can't, it's hard to,
Come on,
everything. Even the title company, because the guy said he didn't know, this is his first time selling the home. You even asked that and explained the title company process to him.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Boom, guys. So I think we're going to get this deal. As you guys see, when you buying deals creatively and you're talking to these sellers, this is a literal business marriage. So be thorough, be very detail oriented, disclose everything so there's no surprises in the back end. And what ends up happening is the sellers trust you more and there is more credibility because you're even giving them information that goes against your best interests. And as you guys notice on this call might not even be that good. I don't know. I'm going to listen back to it. But 100% for sure, every single time I explain something to the seller, I pause and I ask the seller, does this make sense? Do you have any questions? Do you have any concerns? Okay, then move on to the next point. Then move on to the next point. Then at the end, re-ask again. Does this all make sense? I don't care about what you like. Can you tell me what you don't like? Typically, never ask sellers what they like. You need to address what they don't like, because that's what's gonna kill your deal. Then you address the black swan. The black swan is who? The unknown party, which is his wife in the back end, that could kill the deal. Now, most of you would have told the seller, oh, I know you need to talk to your wife, just go talk to her and let me know what she says. No. Hey, he already knows his wife. Is his wife. He'll be making babies with her. So he knows her. So ask, hey, I know you know your wife. What do you think she won't like about everything I just said? I know you know her. Laugh about it. Guys, make them laugh, make them whatever, like be very natural. Don't try to be overly professional. Don't try to be overly scripted, because they can smell it. I'm just me. I'm just me on the phone. I'm not trying too hard. I don't care if I lose the deal. You guys heard me tell him, I don't care if I lose it, because then it didn't meant to be. And I want to do right by you, and I want to do right by my investors as well, right? So with that being said, guys, stay tuned. We'll keep you posted if we end up closing the deal. I think we will, depending on the cash flow. This is Florida. Florida is getting tight right now. But remember, guys, you don't have to be the one to buy the property. We're at a point where we can afford to do so, but you can wholesale it. Just structure the terms and wholesale it and make a fee. You can wholesale the terms on creative and make a fee. All right, guys? And keep practicing. This shit right here is practice. I have had my reps. I role play every single day, even when I'm not role playing with my buddies, because I shoot so much content and talk about the topic. I'm always, getting my reps in, because I'm explaining the concept even on video. So guys, you can't just wing this. You can't just, it's not wingable. Sorry. All right. So until next time, guys, keep that boom mindset. As you guys already know, stay bold and brave, stay obsessed, stay optimistic, and have that mindset that is completely abundant. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment below, and, share the video, guys.